Former Hawkeye Deacon Hill has a new home, and it's back in the FCS. Remember, he originally committed to an FCS program following his entry into the transfer portal out of Wisconsin. He is from Santa Barbara originally. He's kind of heading all over the place. He's back in the West, if you will, over at Utah Tech. We'll talk about the former Dixie State school in just a second and what Deacon Hill brings to the table. But first, want to thank our sponsor for this program. And today we want to thank Under the Kitchen, Randy Engel, and his awesome artwork down in Mitchellville. If you have a need for a gift, maybe a Hawkeye friend of yours that's getting married, or perhaps it's an anniversary, whatever the case may be, great gift idea. Get them a Hawkeye print, an original signed Hawkeye print via Under the Kitchen, a locally owned business down in Mitchellville. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook or Randy's website. It's underthekitchen.square.site. That's underthekitchen.square.site. Thank you to Randy Engel down at Under the Kitchen in Mitchellville. So, former Hawkeye quarterback Deacon Hill has committed to Utah Tech. It had been pretty quiet since Deacon entered the transfer portal following the spring period. And not sure why that was. I know I talked with Elliot Clough of Rivals, and he had said that Deacon was pretty public about the attention he was getting via the portal here a year ago. Initially committed to Fordham. We know the John Budmeyer connection at Wisconsin. Of course, Budmeyer was at Colorado State and then at Iowa. And so that connection, being that Budmeyer originally recruited Deacon Hill to Wisconsin, that's kind of how Deacon Hill ended up at Iowa after Carson May entered the portal following the 2022 season. Iowa just needed another body. They, of course, had Cade McNamara coming in, but they needed more bodies. They go with Deacon Hill. What happens? Cade McNamara goes down during Kids Day of the August fall camp of 2023. Iowa did not have confidence in Joe Labus. That's clear. And so they end up going with Deacon Hill 4 or 5 games into the season, and he struggled throughout. We all know the storyline, some of the lowest numbers, if you look at statistics, in all of the FBS, certainly in the Big Ten. In 2023, played in 13 total games. Some of that was mop-up duty, but most of it was as a starting quarterback for the Hawkeyes. He threw for about 49% through the air, 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 87 passer rating. Yes, those are not good numbers. We know he struggles with his mobility. However, let's give him credit for one thing. He was a Power 5 level quarterback out of high school. At least he was looked at as a Power 5 quarterback. As you see his recruiting page, his 247 Sports recruiting page out of high school. He attended high school down in Santa Barbara, California. Kid's got a big arm. If you're a Utah Tech fan, perhaps you're logging into this video to see what you got out of a Big Ten program, a former Big Ten starter. How often can you say that you're getting a former Big Ten starting quarterback at a lower tier FCS school? And that's what Utah Tech is right now. I believe they went 2-9 a year ago. Deacon Hill does have a big arm. Now, he's a former water polo athlete, kind of throws from the hip. Former Hawkeye quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator Don Patterson had made the comment several times on our show, our postgame show, that Deacon does not have that typical grooved throwing motion. So what was the result? Low completion percentage. At times, he made some good throws. Iowa did not attack downfield nearly as much as I think they should have. In fact, they have not done that over the last 3 to 4 years, in spite of the fact that they've had quarterbacks who had big arms, Spencer Petras, Deacon Hill, and I would say that's those guys' strengths. Maybe Utah State will take advantage of Petras's arm. Ironic now that Petras is at Utah State and Deacon Hill is at Utah Tech. That is ironic. Utah Tech, formerly known as Dixie State, they kind of bounced around. In fact, they haven't been in Division I football all that long. They were a former Division II school, ended up joining the WAC, and that conference eventually merged with the ASUN, and they are now part of the United Athletic Conference, the UAC. Deacon Hill will be potentially relieving Kobe Tracy, who's now in the transfer portal. Tracy, Utah Tech's quarterback of last year, he threw for quite a few yards for the Bison. And in 2023 specifically, he had over 2,700 passing yards. He was not real mobile either. 6'4" and rarely rushed for positive yards. If you watch him on tape, he was pretty immobile, although he was not the 255-pound quarterback that Deacon Hill is. Now, maybe Deacon will slim down a little bit. I don't think he looked much trimmer during Iowa's open spring period, where he took the majority of the snaps with Hawkeye returnee Cade McNamara out and Marco Lainez still learning the Iowa system. And it was his first spring, so Deacon Hill took most of the snaps with the ones. Tracy's in the portal, so maybe Deacon Hill ends up being the starting quarterback for Utah Tech. It's a very green group, a couple of redshirt freshmen, and a guy who was the third stringer for Utah Tech a year ago. So Deacon Hill's got a chance to go there and play right away. Sounds like he's a great young man, a solid leader. He was respected by his teammates in spite of his struggles. His biggest problems, of course, lie with accuracy and lack of mobility. Did not protect the football well last year either. If you look at his numbers, he really struggled. Had a number of fumbles, strip sacks. He just struggled. And that's, you can blame Deacon Hill, but it's also part of that falls on the coaching. So perhaps he'll get better coaching at Utah Tech. It's crazy to even think that Utah Tech quarterback coaching, offensive coaching might be better than Iowa's, but I would not be shocked if that's the case, especially when you look at what Tracy, Utah Tech's quarterback last year, did through the air. Like I said, almost 2,800 yards compared to Deacon Hill, nearly 1,200 yards. So maybe he's going into a system that will allow him to thrive, and certainly at a lower level, not just an FCS school, but an FCS school that's not known to be great. And so congratulations to Deacon Hill. I wish him all the best, and hopefully he can cut down on the interceptions and fumbles and finish off his career on a high note. If you're not aware, Deacon Hill, again, started his career at Wisconsin, does have 2 years of eligibility remaining if he wants them. So we'll follow his career along with Spencer Petras' career. Iowa now has Brendan Sullivan, Marco Lainez, Cade McNamara, and James Rezar is on the roster. And maybe they'll add a walk-on. We'll see. Tommy Pahalski also had entered the portal not that long ago. I've not heard any news on him, but I would expect Iowa to add a PWO at some point prior to the start of the 2024 season. Just wanted to give you that update, folks. Another kind of a newsy update here, portal update here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're a Hawkeye basketball or football fan. And I promise we'll be back soon. I'm Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm.